Hello, my name is Dr. Pete, and I am the co-founder of Ketonic Revolution, Dr. Pete's Keto Club, and Team Ketonics, which is a private Facebook group where our clients post questions and we interact. The subject of this video today is to review 5 different questions that I have found on that have been revolving around these various Facebook groups that are taking on members who are just beginning the keto lifestyle for the first time. And the overarching reason that people are doing this is to lose weight. So what I've done is I pulled down 5 questions, and we're going to address each of those questions individually. Okay, firstly, how do we lose weight on the ketogenic diet? And I'm going to address this quickly with bullet points. Later on, I'll produce some videos where we go into substantial detail and into each one of the points. The first one is, this is not a diet in the sense that most people think of the word, right? The keto lifestyle is not about reducing the overall amount of calories we eat, right? We are not doing calorie restriction. We're not going around being hungry. So that's point number 1. You're going to be eating roughly the same amount of calories as you are right now on the normal standard American diet. Point number 2, the reason why you actually lose weight on this diet is for 2 reasons. The first is because on a ketogenic diet, we reduce the amount of carbohydrates to 50 grams or less per day, all right? And what that does is it reduces the amount of insulin secretion. And when we reduce the amount of insulin that your body is producing in response to the food, what that does is it unlocks the ability of your body to burn fat. So now, basically, because we've reduced the insulin, because we've reduced the carbohydrates, your body now is going to look at the 3 main categories of food components that we eat: carbohydrate, protein, and fat differently. And it's going to be selecting certain amounts of all 3 of those categories in order to burn or produce the energy that we need to operate in life. The second reason is because once we've reduced the carbohydrates and we've pulled the insulin down, now we're eating as the majority macronutrients, fat, which is going to be somewhere around 65 to 75% of our intake, and then the same amount of protein that we were eating before. But the main point here is that both fat and protein are highly satiating. What does that mean? It means you eat a little bit of it and you feel full and you don't feel like you need to eat anymore. And as a result of that, you end up eating less. Okay, now one last thing in regard to the satiating effect of eating fat and protein, because there are going to be some listeners here that are going to go, "See, Dr. Pete, you've reduced the calories." But this is different, and that's a knee-jerk reaction to the idea that on a quote-unquote diet, the way most people look at it, they deliberately eat less and they go around hungry. This is not the same thing. We're eating what we want on a ketogenic diet, but we're eating to satiety. And what that means is we sit down, we eat a meal, and we eat until we're not hungry anymore. And then when we're not hungry anymore, we stop eating. And as a result of that, we're eating fewer calories than we would otherwise. And additionally, our body now, because of the lack of insulin pressure, is utilizing the different things we eat, what little carbohydrates that we're intaking, and then the fat and the protein, to do the various things that the body needs, one of which is providing the energy for us to operate in the world that we're in. Okay, now let's get started with the questions. We at Ketonic Revolution see this question a lot. There's a lot of people out there that intend to start this diet today, or they're going to start it tomorrow, and it doesn't involve them doing any homework. So number one, what I suggest is that you should plan ahead for this thing. And while enthusiasm is good, it is best if you do your homework. One area or one solution to this would be to check out our book, which is on Amazon. This is one of the biggest misconceptions out there. You should always be counting the total carbs and not the net carbs. And the reason for this is because our bodies do in fact digest some of the fiber, and the science is not clear on how much of that fiber we're actually digesting. And then the other thing are the sugar alcohol sweeteners that people are using to substitute for sugar. Both of these contribute to digestion and are going to influence or will influence your ability to be in ketosis and therefore fat adapted. If you're having symptoms that would include headache, lightheadedness, fatigue, and leg cramps, and in particular the headache and the lightheadedness and the fatigue are sudden onset, this signals the fact that you're not getting enough salt on the ketogenic diet. And the recommendation is, in fact, to be eating 5 to 6 grams of table salt per day besides how you're salting your food. So you can actually prevent these things like the muscle cramps and the other symptoms that I talked about if you ensure that when you start the diet, you actually start making sure that you're having between 5 to 6 grams of extra table salt per day. Profound changes happen to our body when we shift into the fat burning mode on a ketogenic diet, which usually will take between 2 to 3 months in order to completely fat adapt, and for some people it actually takes a little bit longer. The science is also clear that it is not a good idea to be going in and out of the fat burning mode. When you cheat, as is pointed out in this question, it can take days to actually get back into ketosis and actually get back into the fat burning mode. And then in addition to that, when you leave ketosis and then you go back in, quite often you experience symptoms that go with that that don't feel good. This is one of the most common questions out there, and the answer is no, we do not track the calories. The reason for this is because the old premise that calories in have to equal calories out is actually false. The reason for this is because on the ketogenic diet, we're low in carbohydrate, which means the expression of insulin is also low. And the result of that is that our body treats the macronutrients that we are eating, the protein, the fat, and the small amount of carbohydrates, differently than it would be treating the situation if we were still eating a high carbohydrate diet. So it boils down to two things. Number one, on a ketogenic diet, our body is actually able to use the fat that we're eating. It can burn it and it can use it for other things like hormone production. And then the second thing is on the ketogenic diet, and perhaps this is even more important, is that the fat and the protein are highly satiating, which means that during a ketogenic meal, we tend to satiate early, which means that we feel full and we stop eating because we don't feel the urge to eat any more than that. And as a result, we're eating fewer calories, and this is where the weight loss comes from. So if you're planning to start the ketogenic diet, I want to send you to Amazon, and you should go ahead and look up our short guide on how to do the ketogenic diet.